Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bibbidi Bobbidi Books. My name is Ellie and today I'm going to be filming a Christmas book haul. But before I get to all of the beautiful books, I just wanted to take a quick moment to wish you all a very happy new year. I really hope this is going to be a fantastic year for all of you, and I also just wanted to say a big thank you to you all for your support on my channel. I really appreciate it. Starting my YouTube channel last year is a real highlight for me, and I really appreciate all of the wonderful people that I've been able to meet through this channel, and I've just absolutely loved being able to chat with you all about books. So just a big thank you to all of you for your support. But anyway, I am going to dive straight in and start showing you some of the books that I was kindly gifted by my friends and family for Christmas this year. I know I personally love watching other people's book hauls. I find it a great way to kind of discover new books and to get inspired for what to read next. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I have a big old bag of books here next to me, so I'm just going to start kind of pulling them out at random and showing you them, and yeah, let's just have a chat about books. So the first book, which is sat on the top here, is a lovely book called Christmas Days, written by Jeanette Winterson. So my mum very kindly gifted this to me, and she gave it to me on Christmas Eve, which was just perfect because it meant I could kind of cuddle up on the sofa and read these beautiful stories to get me into the festive spirit on Christmas Eve. So this is full of 12 short stories as well as 12 festive recipes for the 12 days of Christmas, which I think is just such a cute idea. And it's also got some illustrations in here which just adds to the charm, and I just think this makes the perfect gift to give to someone on Christmas Eve. Or I also think this would be lovely to give to someone kind of maybe on the 1st of December or something as a advent present, because then they could perhaps read a couple of Christmassy short stories and try out some of the recipes and things on the lead up to Christmas. I just think that would be so lovely. The next book that I have to show you I'm very excited about. So this is A Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This is a standalone adult fantasy, and it's one of Brandon Sanderson's books which is within his wider Cosmere, and I have been wanting to read this book for so long, so I was so thrilled to get this year for Christmas. I've heard fantastic things. I've heard it's got great characters in it. I think it's quite witty, quite funny, and yeah, I think this is going to be so much fun. So this is a story which follows two sisters, and I believe the eldest sister has kind of been groomed all of her life to marry this god king from another kingdom, so she has received all of this formal training and everything, and the younger sister doesn't have any real political obligations, so she is a bit more kind of left to her own devices and hasn't received all of that training and everything. But the story kicks off when for some reason the younger sister is the one that actually ends up marrying the god king. So yeah, I think that causes some problems and things. As with all Brandon Sanderson's novels, I believe this has a very cool magic system which is based on colour, which sounds very cool. I think people can kind of draw colour from everyday objects, so I'm very excited to find out a little bit more about how that magic system works. Yeah, I've heard of such great things. I'm so excited to get to this one. The next book that I have here is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So this is one that I saw floating around on BookTube a while ago, but I never got around to reading it, so I'm very excited to have received this for Christmas this year. I think this is going to be fantastic. I know this is a bit of a dark academia type book, and I think in this story we follow a main character called Alex who goes to this prestigious university where I believe there are a lot of kind of secret magical societies, which sounds very cool, and I believe there is a sort of murder mystery at the heart of this story, and I know a lot of people really love this one, so I can't wait to give this one a try for myself. The next books that I want to share with you are actually all written by the same author. So my brother very kindly gifted me this gorgeous box set of books by Neil Gaiman. So I am so excited to have all of these beautiful books in this gift set. So I actually read this book, The Ocean at the End of the Lane, last year, and I really loved it. I fell in love with Neil Gaiman's writing, and so that's made me want to go on and read all of his other books. So in this story we follow an older gentleman who basically ends up going back to his childhood home for a funeral, and whilst he's there he goes back to this house where he spent a lot of his childhood years, and when he goes back to the house he starts to remember some of the traumatic events that happened to him when he was a child. And so this story is basically told through the eyes of a 7-year-old, and it's so interesting. I really love the fact that we get that child's perspective on things that are happening, and it turns into a really kind of thrilling and quite scary at times fantastical story. story, and Neil Gaiman blends together beautifully lots of different genres, which I loved in this story, and I hear is kind of his trademark, so I'm really excited to go on and read some of his other works. The other books that are in this stack are the Annecy Boys. So I don't know a huge amount about this one other than the fact that I think we're following a main character, Charlie, and he basically ends up finding out that his dad was a god. I don't know anything more than that really, but let me know if you've read this one because I'd love to have a little chat with you. The next one that's in the set is American Gods, so I know that this one is incredibly famous, and I think this kind of blends together American culture with mythology, which sounds really interesting. And I think we follow our main character who was in prison, and I think he ends up getting hired to do a bunch of jobs, and he goes on kind of a bit of a road trip around America as far as I'm aware. I don't know much more than that, but I love the fact that this is kind of a blend of that mythology with all the gods and everything and American culture. I'm just really interested to see how that works. The next book in the set is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. So I have never read this book, but Stardust is actually one of my favourite movies. So yes, I do love the story, assuming that the story is quite accurate to the book. In the movie, we follow a young teenager who is called Tristan, and he ends up going to retrieve a fallen star for the woman that he loves. And basically, in order to retrieve this fallen star, he has to cross over into this fantastical world, and a big adventure ensues. There's witches and there's pirates, and it is a whole lot of fun. So yeah, I'm really excited to read the book for this one. It's a lot shorter than I imagined actually. So yeah, I'll be really intrigued to see kind of how the book differs from the movie. And then the last one is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. Again, another very famous novel of his, and in this one I think we follow a guy called Richard, who is quite an ordinary type character. He lives quite an uneventful life until he finds this girl bleeding in the street, and he decides to help her, and his entire world gets flipped upside down. That is all I know about this story, but I think it is incredibly whimsical and fantastical, and I cannot wait for this. The next book that I was very kindly gifted is The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. So I am so excited to continue this wonderful trilogy. So I started this trilogy last year with the first book, The City of Brass, and I absolutely love that book. It is so fun. So in that story we follow our main character Nahari, who starts off as a con artist living on the streets of Cairo, and the story kind of kicks off when she accidentally summons this jinn warrior while she's doing this ritual, and she ends up crossing the desert with him to go and find this magical city called Daevabad. And in the first book, Nahari is very much uncovering more about her true heritage, and she finds out a lot about the political struggles that are going on within the city of Daevabad, and it's really good. I loved the characters in the first book. I loved the banter between Nahari and the jinn warrior, and I loved all the politics surrounding it, and I absolutely adored the setting as well. It was so refreshing to have something that is set in the desert and things, because I feel like a lot of fantasy is more kind of castles and dragons and things, so it's nice to have something that feels a little different. So the next book that I have to show you is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. So this is a book that I've been meaning to get to for the longest time, so I was incredibly excited to receive this on Christmas. But this is the first book in his First Law trilogy, and I believe it's his debut novel actually. And I know a lot of people have highly recommended this series and Joe Abercrombie in general as a fantastic author. He's known for his grim dark settings, so I know this is quite grim and gritty, but I've heard such wonderful things about this. I believe it's incredibly character driven, which is perfect for me because I'm a very character driven reader, and I know that this trilogy has a lot of morally grey characters in it that are all very interesting. So yes, I cannot wait to get to this one. I don't actually want to read too much of the synopsis because I want to just kind of go straight into this one, but yeah, I've heard fantastic things and cannot wait to get to this one. Oh, the next book I am very excited about. This is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is a book that has been incredibly highly esteemed, and I know it's won a lot of awards and things, and I've heard so many people talking so highly about this book, so I'm very excited to get to this one and see what I think for myself. I know it's supposed to be incredibly beautifully written, and this is a standalone fantasy book, and it's about a guy called Laszlo Strange, who has always been incredibly obsessed with this mythological lost city city called Weep. And yeah, I believe we follow him on a journey to go and discover more about what happened to this city called Weep and why it was cut off from the rest of the world. And I know a lot of people say that this one is incredibly beautiful and also incredibly moving. So yeah, I can't wait for this one. I might actually end up picking this as my first book to read in January because I'm just so excited for this one. Yeah, let me know if you've read this one. I'd love to chat with you in the comments. The next book that I have to show you is another fantasy book. So this is The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is the first book in the Inheritance trilogy, and I am really excited about this one. I've heard wonderful things about this author, and in this trilogy I believe we follow our main character who ends up being summoned back to this city called Skye, and she basically gets thrust into this competition to become heir for the throne. So I think it's incredibly political, this one. And I know that it's set in a world where there are gods kind of intermingled with mortals, which sounds really fascinating. I've heard wonderful things about this author's writing as well. I know they've received a lot of buzz recently from their most recent trilogy, which is called the Broken Earth trilogy, which I've heard wonderful things about. But I just wanted to kind of read some of their earlier works before I go into that one. So yeah, I can't wait to get to this one, and was really surprised and pleased to receive this for Christmas. The next two books that I have to show you are Thunderhead and The Toll by Neil Shusterman. So these are the final two books in the Scythe trilogy, which is a really fun sci-fi young adult series. And I read the first book, Scythe, last year, so I was really excited to get the final two books for Christmas. And yeah, I can't wait to kind of round out this series this year. So in this series, it's basically set in the far-flung future where death by natural causes is no longer an issue due to advances in technology, and so humans have had to come up with this organization called the Scythedom in order to control population growth. So the Scythedom basically contains people called scythes who are trained to glean or to kill other people to control the population. And in the first story, Scythe, we follow two teenagers who are basically approached to become apprentice scythes, and neither of them really want to do the job in the beginning of the novel, and it's just really interesting following them on their journey to becoming a scythe. And we find out more about the Scythedom and the politics surrounding it, and we also kind of hear different people's take on morality in the first book, which I found really interesting. There were lots of really fascinating philosophical discussions in the first book, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, I remember the first book left on quite a cliffhanger, so I cannot wait to get to the next two books, and I hear that it gets better and better. So yeah, super excited for those two. The next book that I have to show you is this absolutely beautiful edition of The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So this is the 10th anniversary Waterstones edition, which I was very kindly gifted by my dad for Christmas. I was so thankful to receive this because it's the kind of thing that I wouldn't buy for myself because I already have the paperback of this book, but it's just so lovely to receive a special edition because it's just extra special, and I can't wait to display this on my shelves. I think it's going to look absolutely beautiful. I probably won't read this one because I want to keep it all nice and pristine and everything, but yeah, this is absolutely stunning. And this is a book that I'm sure you've probably heard of before because I know it's incredibly popular on BookTube, but this is about the Trojan War, and this focuses very much on the relationship that's formed between Patroclus and Achilles, and it's incredibly moving and incredibly beautiful, and a lot of people really love this one. It's received awards and things, and it's had a big resurgence recently. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have this gorgeous beautiful book in my collection. I can't wait to put that up on my shelves. And then we are on to the final two books that I received for Christmas, which are both science fiction books, neither of which I'd heard of before actually. So these were gifted to me by my partner's brother, who read them and really loved them and really highly rates them, and I completely trust his opinion, so I'm sure these are going to be fantastic. But the first one is called Consider Phlebas, which is written by Ian M. Banks. So this is a sci-fi novel that is the first in a big series, it looks like, and I believe these books are all based on this interstellar society called the Culture. That's all I really know about this book. That's all I want to know about this book. I think I'm going to go into this one blind and just kind of discover it for myself, but I've heard fantastic things, so I'm sure this is going to be great. Please let me know if you've read this book because I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. And then the final book is Neuromancer by William Gibson. Again, I hadn't heard of this one before, which I'm surprised about because it's won a Hugo Award, it's really highly acclaimed. It says on the back here that it revolutionized science fiction in 1984. So this is obviously a very influential book and has received a lot of praise. So I'm incredibly excited to get into this one. I'm not 100% sure what it's actually about because the back literally doesn't say anything really about the plot. It just says that it's it has a noir narrative, and it says that it's part thriller, part warning, and it says on here, Neuromancer is a timeless classic of modern science fiction and one of the 20th century's most potent and compelling visions of the future. So I am very intrigued by that. I did do a little Google, and I believe this follows a man who is in a cyberpunk world which is full of corruption and crime, which sounds really interesting. I don't want to know more than that really. I just want to go into this one and see what I think. But yes, highly acclaimed, so I'm sure it's absolutely fantastic, and I cannot wait to get to this one. So that rounds out this video really. That was all of the beautiful books that I was very lucky to receive this year for Christmas. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments what you think I should pick up first, and if you've read any of these stories, because I would love to have a chat with you down below in the comment section. And yeah, just thank you so much. Have a wonderful year. I really hope it's a good one for you, and I guess I'll see you next time with another video. Bye!